Oh man, make no mistake about it. Markets are softening. Bitcoin falling more here today. But are you letting whales and accumulation addresses buy and steal your Bitcoin? That's what we need to get into today, because let's face it, Bitcoin has been rejected 4-5 times from this 71, 72 range. It's struggled and failed, in fact, to create that higher high. And now we must be prepared for lower prices. We have to have ourselves prepared for these pullbacks. And the question is going to be, are you going to panic sell? I've got evidence to suggest that maybe, just maybe, some people are starting to panic sell, and this is where it's going. Take a look at this, guys. On the dip on Tuesday, that was Tuesday, 20,000 Bitcoins were accumulated by accumulation addresses. In other words, these are addresses which are known statistically to be accumulated. In other words, they're dip buyers. They're people who buy and they hold. And you can see that on these moments, they accumulate. They wait for days where the market panics, where fear and greed index notches up, where the Bitcoin price has a bit of a bad day, and they set their limit orders and they buy themselves into crypto. And I guess the question now is, who's fueling them? Is it you? Are you one of those that were buying in at the peak, and now because Bitcoin's having a bit of a pullback, you're starting to panic? Is that the lack of conviction you have? You've got to ask yourself that question, because if you look at the market right now, we're in a good position. But if you allow yourself to be fudded out by the micro, right? In investing, you have micro issues and you have macro issues. If you're allowing yourself to get messed up by the small day-to-day movements in the market at the expense of your long-term investments, then you've only got yourself to blame, right? Yes, in an isolated situation, yesterday's Fed meeting was not good. But always zoom out into the macro. Does that mean you should sell all your investments and panic? No. We've just had the tightest rate hiking cycle we've ever seen. You had FTX collapse, Voyager collapse. You had this bear market, Sam Bankman-Fried with the biggest scam ever. It was a tough time in that bear market, guys. Bitcoin went as low as 15,500. And still you didn't panic sell. Are you going to panic sell now that Bitcoin's kind of a few percent away from all-time highs? Right? Just because the Fed had a bit of a flip-flop? Yes, that Fed flip-flop has some ramifications. Yes, it delays our party and our first rate cut for a couple of months. Okay, maybe we're only going to get 1 instead of 3 rate cuts this year. But is that going to be the reason why you give up your hard-earned Bitcoin to these accumulation dresses? Hold up. Do you want to learn how to trade? Then you need to jump into our Telegram community. Link is in the description. In our Telegram community, I share my altcoins. I share how I do my trade setups, how I do my stop losses and take profit, so you could learn to become a profitable trader. Check it out. Link is in the description. You've got to ask yourself that question, because remind yourself, this is what you're giving away. You're giving away technology which has no founder, no ruling foundation, no pre-mine, no insiders. It's immutable, right? It's permissionless. And I tweeted this earlier. I said, remind people when they ask you what's so special about Bitcoin, that it's not about what Bitcoin has, but rather what it doesn't have. It doesn't have an owner. It doesn't have someone with jurisdiction over it. It's an asset class for the people, right? Are you going to let all of this dissipate and disappear just because Jerome Powell came out and said, oh, for a couple of months, we're going to have to delay some rate cuts because inflation's a bit sticky? I mean, that's not a reason for you to be getting rid of your hard-earned Bitcoin. You're going to kick yourself if you find out years from now that you let your Bitcoin go when it's on the verge of trying to break through all-time highs and go on a journey. Right? Because the reality is, we've seen these periods in Bitcoin's life cycle before. And maybe you fell for it in previous cycles. Maybe you missed out on this opportunity. But this time, are you going to mess it up? You missed it in 2017. Bitcoin was chilling for a very long period of time. 50 days accumulation here. Yes, we've been kind of in this sideways period for 100 days. Maybe it's going to be more. Maybe it's 120 days, 130 days. But what comes after it? Every single time people have doubted Bitcoin, it continues to go on a leg higher, right? In this move, you could have been buying Bitcoin sub $1,000 and then you missed the move. And now we sit here just a few years on, struggling to get Bitcoin below $70,000. Soon there'll be a time where you can't get Bitcoin less than $70,000. Are you going to be the person that sold your Bitcoin? right? Are you going to be the one that bought at 73 and because it fell to 68, you panicked and sold? Are you really in it for that small of a picture? Do you not have a slightly longer term horizon? And so when I look at these charts, like I've been sharing for a while, like they don't concern me whatsoever. That doesn't mean I don't think there's going to be a pullback. I do, right? You can see that we do have a double top pattern and I'm expecting a pullback into the EMA ribbon, but we've been in much worse shape here on Bitcoin many times. In fact, let's just go and remind ourselves of the situation we've been through. We ran Bitcoin all the way up to 64. It tanked all the way down to 29. It ran all the way up to 69. And then it tanked all the way down to 15,500. All of these weeks and months, we were tumbling, fraud after fraud, company collapse after company collapse, interest rates going through the roof, inflation unstoppable, right? It was absolute chaos. And then now, after these couple of weeks here, we managed to get back above our EMA ribbon in March of 2023. And since then, it's been 12 months of joy. I mean, Bitcoin's gone from periods of 21,000 up toward knocking on the door of 71 and touching a new all-time high. And yet people are worried that we might have to come touch our EMA ribbon at 61. Or, okay, fine, if we need all of the EMA ribbon, we go down to 50. What an opportunity that would be for me to nibble on Bitcoin and buy on Bitcoin. I'm certainly not going to sell any of the ones I got, but I'm going to accumulate as much cash as possible to make sure I'm ready to buy the dip in these areas. Right? That's the only thing I've got to do right now is make sure I'm focused on getting cash, set my limit orders, and make sure that if this thing tumbles to 60, 55, and 50, I'm getting in some more bids. And I'll do the same for my favorite altcoins as well. Well, because of course, if Bitcoin's tumbling, altcoins are tumbling too. And you can see the blood bluff. You got to remember, when the market is green, there is nothing to do. What do you need to do in a green market? There's one thing to do, sell. Right? Which you're going to do when, and you're only going to sell when you think you're at a peak. Do you really think we're at a peak here on Bitcoin when the all-time high previously was 69 and we just wicked a little bit to like 74, 73? Is that enough of a bull market for you? For me, I'm locked and loaded, ready for this bull market. Right? When the market's red otherwise, I'm ready to buy the dip. I really do keep it that simple. And hopefully this chart I shared with you illustrates that exact fact. The wealthiest people in investing and in crypto are those that can detach from the emotions. They understand that there's micro disturbances, but the bigger picture remains unaffected. Yes, the Fed flip-flopped. Yes, we need to understand what that means, and it may delay some of our exciting green days coming up, and it may give us a bit more of a dip to buy. But long term, does it change anything? No. Eventually the Fed will pivot. Eventually central banks pivot, like you saw with the UK, like you see in Canada, you're seeing in the Eurozone. They will pivot, they will cut rates, and there will be a day again, maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, where they start printing money again, because that's all they know how to do. If you appreciate these updates, smash all the likes. Don't forget to trade with our community. We've got active trades now in our Telegram group, ijazcrypto.com/TG, and I'll see you in the next one.